Stephanie Jenkins went live again, and somehow, it managed to make everything worse. Like, this wasn't your typical chaotic, resilient Jenkins live stream. No. This one exposed new lies, disturbing family details, and honestly made people question if things in that motel are far worse than anyone imagined. So, picture this. Stephanie Jenkins, aka Resilient Jenkins, decided to go live again. But this time, she's at a laundromat. And you can tell right away something feels off. The noise from the washing machines is so loud you can barely hear her. She's juggling her baby in one arm while trying to talk to viewers, and she looks exhausted, like painfully exhausted. Now, she claims she went live to chat and connect, but a lot of people believe it was another move to get free gifts, or maybe even to compete with Drew. Because lately, Drew has been getting a lot of sympathy online. People say he's more honest, more grounded, and honestly, that's eating her alive. So she tried to replicate the same magic. But instead of being authentic, her life quickly turned into a mixture of uncomfortable scenes, defensive lies, and shocking overshares. And here's where it gets wild. At first, the chat seemed completely normal. The usual warm greetings, a few heart emojis, people asking how she's been. But then, someone in the comments dropped a question that changed the entire tone of the live. They asked about Operation Santa. And I'm sitting there like, oh no, this is about to get awkward. Because if you know, you know. Operation Santa is that USPS program where kids from struggling families can write letters to Santa, and kind strangers across the country actually grant those wishes. It's such a sweet, wholesome thing. But when Stephanie read that comment, she looked blank, completely clueless. She blinked, paused, and said she had no idea what people were talking about.
Operation Santa? I'm not even sure what that is. What is that? Thank you, Opal. I appreciate that.
Then she literally started asking what it meant. And you could just feel the chat sink into silence for a second, like collectively heartbroken. Because here's the thing, her kids live in a motel. They're probably going to spend their Christmas there. No tree, no decorations, no gifts waiting under anything. And Operation Santa could have been one of those rare, magical things that might have given those kids a real holiday. Imagine them writing their wishes and random strangers out there, total strangers, making them come true. But she didn't even know it existed. And that hit differently. You could almost sense people watching feel this deep, heavy sadness. Because these kids, they are not asking for luxury. They just want what every kid wants to feel seen, to feel special, to have something to look forward to. But their mom? She's too busy doing lives, defending lies, and talking in circles about nothing to even know there is help right there, waiting. And then she casually adds that she at least bought Halloween costumes for them. And I'm just like, okay, that's cute. But it's giving content first, comfort later. Like, she picks what's going to look good on TikTok instead of what's going to make her kids genuinely happy. Some people in the chat even said maybe it's better she didn't sign up because that program's meant for families who truly can't afford anything. And Stephanie? She can. She just doesn't. She chooses to spend her money elsewhere on gardening and garbage. Yes, gardening. While homeless. Like, make that make sense. And that's when I was like, okay, we're not even 10 minutes in, and already my joy is on the floor. Now, this is where it starts spiraling. Like, I actually had to pause for a second because the whole thing just went from awkward to unbelievable. Someone in the chat asked how she manages to transport all her kids safely when her car is literally a five-seater. And without even thinking twice, Stephanie goes, oh, I never drive them all at once.
Must have said pretty and read the rest of it fast enough. We never really do transport all the kids at once.
Like it was the most normal thing ever. And I'm sitting there like, Mom, what? Because there is literal proof that she does. We've all seen it. People have receipts, videos, screenshots, even that one clip from when she moved from one motel to another. You could see all those little heads in that tiny car. 6 people in a 5-seater. It doesn't take a math genius to realize that's not safe. Not even close. So, once again, she lied. Right on live. Like confidently gaslighting the audience while the evidence is still floating around the internet. Pretending she's following the rules when she is clearly not. And this is the moment where the chat started shifting. You could tell people were done playing nice. The tone changed completely. They started asking real questions, and I mean real ones. Why don't you have a job? What's happening with your housing situation? And instantly, Stephanie whole vibe snapped. You could see it in her face, you could hear it in her voice. That defensive tone. She started raising her voice slightly, throwing attitude, saying things like, If y'all keep asking, I'm not answering. Almost like she thought threatening the chat would make them back down. It was giving Drew energy. That same dismissive tone he uses when people corner him with uncomfortable truths. Basically, she was like, Ask all you want, I won't respond. And honestly, that's when it hit me. She didn't want a conversation, she wanted control. It was wild. Instead of addressing anything meaningful, the kind of stuff people actually wanted clarity on, she started answering the fluff questions. You know, the safe, the easy ones that don't make her look bad. Then someone asked where her toddler was, and she just said, almost casually, Oh, he's in the motel with Drew.
No, Drew's back at the motel with Bubba's. No, I don't have a stroller yet. Drew's live too.
Like that was supposed to make sense. But the chat? Oh, they felt that because apparently this little boy, Atlas, never gets to go anywhere. He's always in that motel room. And when you really think about it, that's so sad. Like his whole little world, those 4 motel walls. No park trips, no laundry runs, nothing. Meanwhile, the other kids at least get to go out once in a while. You could feel the discomfort with the screen. It wasn't even drama anymore. It just felt heavy. Like people started realizing that this isn't just about bad decisions or lazy parenting. This is isolation. It's a toddler growing up without stimulation, without exposure to the outside world. And that kind of environment, it affects everything: mental health, development, even speech. And I don't know about you guys, but that part, that genuinely broke me a little. It's one of those moments where you sit back and realize this isn't funny, this is real life, and it's heartbreaking. Then came another question, and honestly, this one made me stop mid scroll. Someone in the chat asked, Stephanie, why don't you have a stroller? And you guys, the silence that followed was loud because she had been carrying her baby that entire life, shifting from one arm to another, looking visibly tired. And her response? She just laughed awkwardly and said, I don't have one yet. Like, what?
No, I don't have a stroller yet. Drew's live too.
And I am sitting there staring at the screen, thinking, hold on. Stephanie has a toddler and a 9-month-old, and she's saying she still doesn't have a stroller? How does that even make sense? It's not like strollers are some rare luxury item. She literally spends $8 a day, every day, on gardening. $8. Do the math. That's $56 a week. She could have easily bought a comfortable stroller by now. But no, apparently, that's not the priority. And it's wild because she used to have one back when Atlas was a baby. We all remember seeing it. So what happened? Did she throw it away? Was it lost in that storage unit that supposedly got auctioned off? Or did she just not care enough to replace it? And listen, I'm not saying this from a judgmental place. It's just concerning. Because carrying a baby constantly like that isn't only exhausting, it's unsafe. Babies need strollers, they need walkers, They need toys, basic things to help them develop their motor skills. But she doesn't even seem to think about that. And that's where I start getting frustrated. Because how can you say you care about your kids so deeply when you don't even give them basic comfort? It's like she has time for lives, the runs, the gardening, but not for something as essential as making sure your baby can sit or nap safely. I don't know, besties. It just makes you pause. Like, imagine holding your baby nonstop while doing laundry, filming, walking, talking. It's draining. It's not sustainable. And yet, she acts like it's fine. I can't help but wonder, does she even see how wrong that looks? Or has she gotten so used to this chaos that it just feels normal to her? Then, this part honestly gave me chills. Someone commented saying Jew had gone live. And you guys, the way Stephanie froze, it was like her soul left her body for a second. You could see the panic flash across her face, that quick micro expression of shock before she tried to recover. Because here's the thing, she's always hovering behind you when he's live, always there, off camera, listening, monitoring, controlling what he says, making sure nothing slips that could ruin her version of events. But this time, she wasn't there. She didn't know what was happening. She didn't know what he might be saying. And you could almost see the gears turning in her mind. Like, wait, what did he say? Did he mention me? Did he tell them something? Instead of being honest or admitting that she had no idea, she tried to laugh it off. She forced a smile and said, "Oh, yeah, we planned to go live at the same time. We just mistimed it." Like it was no big deal. But the way her voice cracked slightly, that nervous laugh, it said everything. Except, Drew wasn't even live. The commenter was trolling, and she fell for it. No, because that was the wildest part. She lied right there on camera, and you could feel her trying to hold it together. It was like she was so used to spinning narratives that she didn't even stop to think. She just defaulted to damage control mode. And that's when it hit me. She's not reacting like a partner. She's reacting like a manager who just lost control of her client. And it backfired so badly because in that one tiny moment, she managed to look both controlling and dishonest. Like, imagine how terrified she must be at the thought of Drew going live without her watching over his shoulder. That's not normal relationship energy. That's PR crisis energy.
I gotta know,
After
what's
that,
that like
the
being
energy
so
of the live
agitated with someone
completely
else that you
shifted.
don't even
You
know
could
that you
see her
send the
body
popo to
freeze.
their house
She
three
would
times in
sweat.
1 week? How many
She
times and how
started
many people
changing
are gonna show
topics
up at our door
abruptly,
and do
suddenly
said
talking
welfare
about
check
music,
before
her
y'all gonna
favorite
catch a
songs.
hint that
You
these
could
children are
evidently tell
perfectly
they
fine? Ain't
formed
nobody being
quite a moment.
traumatized, nobody
Her
being
tone went
scarred
from
for
chaotic
life.
to almost
Absolutely
hopeful,
not one of
like
these
she was
kids would
trying
rather
to
be
say
anywhere
it's
but with me and
just
Drew.
fine.
Like honestly,
Operation Santa. I'm not even sure what that is. What is that? Thank you, Opal. I appreciate that. And he's come so fast.
The tone went from chaotic to almost desperate, like she was trying to prove she was fine. But the most ironic part? She suddenly started thanking her gifters, and longtime viewers immediately caught it. Because she never does that. Normally, she acts like she doesn't even see the gifts coming in. So seeing her go, "I thank you so much," on repeat, it felt performative. Almost like she's been studying Drew's lives, noticing how he gets praised for his gratitude, and thought, okay, maybe I'll try that too. It was so transparent, but at least she was trying to look put together, trying to look unbothered, when deep down, you could tell that tiny comment about you going live completely shook her. At some point, she started asking her audience for advice on Christmas festivities. Like, what should she do for her kids? What are people go to traditions? She said she wanted to do better, but didn't have the budget. And you could tell she was fishing. But when people gave actual advice, like maybe get a job or cut back on gardening, she immediately got defensive. She said it was crazy for people to tell someone what to do with their life. Ma'am, you literally asked. It was almost comical. She asked for advice, then got mad when she received it. And that's when the audience realized Stephanie doesn't want help, she wants pity. She doesn't want solutions, she wants sympathy and maybe a few PayPal donations. Viewers started calling her out on the gardening again, telling her it's ridiculous to be planting flowers while homeless. She replied sarcastically, saying people only talk about her gardening because they know she gardens, as if that made it better. But the truth is, it's not about gardening, it's about priorities. How can she justify daily spending on that and plants while her kids are cramped in a single motel room with no stroller, no toys, no stable home? And then it clicked for many people watching. She doesn't want to leave the motel. Remember that Airbnb offer she turned down? The one that cost the same as the motel? That's when everyone realized she's choosing this life, choosing to stay stuck, to keep milking sympathy, and to keep the content rolling. It's not about resilience, it's about control. And honestly, it's heartbreaking. Because at the center of all this drama are children, real kids who deserve better. They didn't ask to be in this situation, to live their childhoods in a motel surrounded by chaos and internet tension. And what's even sadder? Stephanie doesn't seem to see how damaging this all is. She's so focused on the narrative, on proving haters wrong, that she's missing the quiet pain happening right beside her. Like, imagine being that baby, carried all day because there is no stroller, or that toddler trapped inside a motel while his siblings get to go out. It's honestly uncomfortable to even think about. So now we are left with one big question. Is Daphne really this oblivious, or is this all intentional? Because after this live, people aren't just seeing her as unprepared or overwhelmed anymore. They're seeing her as manipulative, someone who would rather perform poverty online than fix it in real life. It's messy, it's sad, and it's not going to end well if she keeps going like this. But what you guys think? Because honestly, this whole thing feels off. Let me know your thoughts down below, and we'll keep following this story because something tells me this isn't the last chaotic life we're going to see from Stephanie Jenkins.